Today I'm celebrating Leicester City, which is a very strange choice for me considering I'm not generally someone who really pays that much attention to football. But the story of Leicester City that happened some years ago is so utterly captivating that I just could not ignore it. And when a friend of mine really into football explained it to me, what had been going on, it's an incredible story. Leicester City were never famous for being an extremely good football team. I think they were wallowing around in something like the third division at the beginning of this story, when suddenly it was like they had all started consuming cans of spinach like Popeye and suddenly became imbued with this incredible strength and cooperation. You know, I would love to know more about the story and to know whether it was a manager or what was the experience that set this off. But suddenly they started playing like they had never played before and had this unbroken record for ages that took them up out of the third division into the second division and then up through the second division into the first division, I think what they call the Premiership. I probably got all of these details wrong because I'm not a football head. But yet finally they ended up actually winning that Premiership, that first division. They ended up winning, I believe, the FA Cup or, these other huge tournaments. And suddenly, in a very small amount of time, became these giant killers. Leicester City were not a football team that had huge budgets. They're not the kind of team that goes out and buys themselves a Ronaldo. Oh God, I'm dating myself there, I'm sure. Or a Messi, or a Beckham. They hadn't got any of these, multi-million star signings. They were a team that just built themselves up and seemed to somehow imbibe that idea of we can do this. And I was really charmed by this story, the power of teamwork and the ability for people to, when they truly work as a team, to do incredible things. It's funny, I used to hitchhike when I was a younger man, and one of the first people, I started hitchhiking when I was about 12. I used to save my bus money so that I'd hitch home and use the bus money on the weekend to go out with. And during the course of that time, I got to meet so many people. I loved hitchhiking, that's another story. But I got to meet one of the first major football managers, when not team manager, but a manager for an individual player. God, I'm trying to remember who it was that he represented, because I don't really know that much about football. Was it David Platt? Anyway, it was this personal football manager for one of the big stars of the time, and it was really at the onset of that where players were suddenly having their own personal representatives, negotiating huge contracts for them with sponsorship and with the teams. And it seems to me that this heralded a very dark period of time, because for football, at least playing as a team, I mean, England has been notorious for being, like having some good players, but being a terrible team because they don't play together. It's just like 11 individuals on a pitch rather than kind of actually working together to achieve a common goal. And in fact, I suppose that describes a lot of society generally now, whether you're talking about trade unions or political parties or corporations. Teamwork is very, very low down on the scale, it seems, because people have become so individualistic, and it's, if you've got a team of 11 people where everyone has got a manager telling them, hey, we can get you more money, you're doing better than him, he's doing worse than you, we'll get you a better, it creates this atomization, or accentuates the natural atomization of our society to get these people competing against each other within the context of a team. So the story of Leicester City for me is an absolutely fantastic story. Excuse me if I've got the details wrong. For me, it's the essence of the story that counts. And Leicester City became giant killers with nothing but the spirit of the game and playing together to achieve a common goal, and it must have really hurt those teams with those massive budgets to see themselves losing to Leicester City. And I love that kind of story. They say in England everyone loves an underdog, and when it comes to watching international teams, supporting England is loving the underdog. So yeah, today I'm celebrating Leicester City.